So hey guys, things have been, well, really busy here, and not necessarily around here. There's been some things that have unfolded in our life, not really directly related to us, but we've had to get involved in some certain things, and it's just been, we've hardly been here. It's been very hard to kind of stay on top of stuff this year, at least in the last 2 weeks. So anyways, I thought I would just take you guys out. I had all these plans this year to do some garden updates and really walk you through some of the process, and here we are already chugging along, and things are really starting to take off. And I haven't really even addressed some of the things I was hoping to do earlier in the season. So garden's not looking exactly awesome, but I did want to take you guys through and show you, I guess, a little bit of the corn update. Maybe we can even peek at some of the other stuff here in the garden just briefly, but mostly wanted to talk about corn tonight. We have a couple different varieties of corn in this year. We're doing a field corn called Dandy Corn that came from Deep South Homestead. I'll put a link to their channel and their store below. It's a field corn we wanted to try out, mostly using it for animal feed as well as potentially grinding. But what we did this year is such a small variety. We did 200 seeds, which really isn't going to put a dent in things on the big scale of sustainability. However, we can use those to build up our seed bank for the following year and hopefully scale things up a little bit more. And just wanted to see how it did here, because Deep South Homestead, they're way down on the southern part of the US here, and we're up towards the northern end of it. So we got that in there. We have two different varieties of sweet corn this year. We're doing a peaches and cream, and I can't remember what the other one was. We selected it from, is it Beckers Creek or Johnny Seed? I think it was Johnny Seed Company. I'll have to go back and look at what that is. Maybe I'll update you guys in another video. But the main reason we selected the other variety is because there were some notes about it canning wise. If you're not very familiar with canning corn, a lot of times it can get pretty starchy even if you react pretty quick. The big key thing that they really recommend is getting that stuff canned or blanched right away so it stops the conversion. So a lot of times what you can do is you can take a turkey fryer or something out there, pick it right out the stock and get it blanched, and then start getting all your canning stuff going. So that was the main reason we want to do that. We have that variety sort of back behind this first chunk here, which is the peaches and cream. That's right behind me. We put the peaches and cream in where our pigs were last year, with the thought and theory is, one, they really tilled things up really nicely. Two, they they fertilized things and put a lot of nutrition. There's a lot of great stuff that comes out of pig manure. I mean, it did definitely boost our nitrogen content, which corn is a heavy user for that, but pig manure's got a lot of other great things that are inside it as well. So, and then the other thing we have going on is we have some popcorn variety that's sitting back quite a ways away from this other stuff, and I'll take you guys back there and show you. But this first chunk here, the peaches and cream, I think actually I should say with all the varieties, we had a little bit of trouble with germination this year. And our seeds came from different places, so I don't think it's something to do with like the seed variety. Of course, we did several different varieties. And I haven't quite narrowed it down what it is, if it's something that we ended up messing up on, or maybe it was just kind of the nature. I've heard a lot of other people having trouble this year with some of the germination as well. So maybe that has something to do with maybe a weather type thing. We definitely had some hot and some cold little swoops in there, and then we got some batches of really heavy rain in certain times. So I don't know if it's related to that, but the one thing that really throws me through a loop, at least in this very front section, and maybe it's just isolated to this area here, but there's like blocks. We have like corn that's really packed in really tight. I know I didn't plant them that tight. And then gaps. We plant everything by hand and trench everything out, pack it all back in. So I don't know if it was potentially, as I was closing things in, I was pulling seeds down, maybe just getting lazy at that time, or potentially maybe some of the heavy rain washed some of the seeds down. But generally we pack things in pretty good, so I wouldn't think that would be the case. So I'll take you guys over here, just give you a real quick close-up look of this stuff. So this place isn't weeded exactly spectacular here, so we really need to get in here probably this weekend and start getting stuff cleaned up. Tomato plant down here, another tomato plant. Here's that block of corn I was talking about. I mean, what is in here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna have to thin these out. 5, 6, maybe 7 of them in there. And then a big bald spot here. And then we got a bunch of tomato plants, and these are looking fantastic. You know, nice dark green. I think these will produce pretty well. And then more corn that's pretty tightly packed in there, and I know I didn't plant them like this. And then something maybe that's got a little bit more breathing room here. You can see it's doing fantastic. Dark green, big, huge leaves, pretty decent height. So I know it's liking the soil in some areas. So something I think really happened with just where our seeds were. And more tomatoes. If you look back in there, you can see some watermelons sitting down there on the ground. But then you can also see some kind of bald spot in there. But all in all, I mean, it's not going to be our best year of corn, but we're going to still walk away with quite a bit of corn. And then that stuff all back in there is all the other stuff that's kind of running the other way. So let's go take a look at that real quick. So you can see we did plant 2 rows of sunflowers here, basically just to create shade for the pigs. Last year we had a little bit of trouble in the beginning part of the year because the pigs were mostly indoors until we got them, and then they would get sunburned. So that was kind of the intent of this little random block of sunflowers. And then you can see here's that other variety of corn, and then we got a bunch more sunflowers all sitting out there. So this corn here, generally we're shooting for somewhere around knee-high by 4th of July, and we're probably just a little bit above that here, but I wanted to kind of walk through here so you could see how it looks, and then we'll go back and we'll take a look at that Danny corn. So let's go take a look at the popcorn variety we got back here real quick too. Since we're on the way, we got onions, I got a bunch of different lettuce mixes. There's some garlic tucked in there. There's some garlic up in the front end of this garden. What's this? Carrots. We got broccoli in here. This is a big row of dill, cucumbers, 2 rows of sweet potatoes. Thanks to the Beckers' backyard. He found a place here. We were having a hard time finding potato slips. Green beans. Let's see what we got here. Our second planting of lettuce. That way we continue to have lettuce throughout the summer. We may even stick 1 more row in this year. More broccoli, I believe that is. Boy, we really got to get in here and weed and get stuff cleaned up. These are all peppers in here. Peppers seem to really be slow moving for us here in Minnesota until the heat really starts kicking in. So, and then here's all the popcorn. We ended up doing 4 rows of this stuff. And it's all looking pretty good. I'm actually probably a little bit higher than the corn that is not in where the pig pen was. And then we got sugar snap peas, but they're not doing phenomenal. I was expecting to be a little bit further along at this point, but maybe it's because they're getting so much shade here that's the culprit. So that might be a lesson learned here. So you can see the Danny corn's doing pretty decent. It's bigger than the other stuff. It was planted about a week before the sweet corn, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before the popcorn. But doing pretty decent. I am a little disappointed in this outside row. It wasn't doing as well as I was expecting it to do. Sort of our logic or thinking behind putting this corn out here, for one, it was to get it away from all the other corn so it's not cross-pollinating, because we want to harvest the seeds for the following year here. The other thing too is this was just some wasted dead space. You can't get in here very easy just because of these trees with the cutter when you're cutting the hay out here. And the other reason is it's a hay field here, and there's a lot of alfalfa in here, and alfalfa is a legume. And same as soybean. Soybean is a legume. And generally what they do here, at least in the Midwest, a lot of times where the corn belt is, it's generally 2 years soybean, 1 year corn. So that corn or that soybean is putting nitrogen back in because corn is such a heavy nitrogen using crop. So I was thinking, you know, all this stuff on this outside row here is going to be butting right up against all this alfalfa. But of course there's weed spots, and it's not a perfect field. It's not like a GMO sprayed field or anything like that where there's no weeds or anything. So I was expecting this outside row to be doing really well, but unfortunately it hasn't. So I'm going to have to come in here and do a little soil sample testing. This is one area I didn't. I just sort of tilled up, threw stuff in, and I don't know. It's doing okay. We're definitely going to get some corn out of it. There are a couple things I've been looking at for fertilizers. Well, a fertilizer purchasing. I'm probably going to end up dumping compost in here, probably going to end up dumping chicken manure. But I've been looking at buying some alfalfa meal. I've been reading up a lot about this stuff. It's an organic fertilizer. It's puts a lot of vitamins and minerals back into the soil, which I think is a big key thing that's missing in today's stuff. It's always about keeping the cost down. So usually the 3 minimal things, you know, the N, P, and K are the things that most people worry about so that plant at least grows. But I think it's missing a lot of that nutrition and stuff that once was in our food at one time. So yeah, so I've been looking at alfalfa meal. However, I can find it online about $7-8 for a 50-pound bag. I'm estimating I'm going to need about 250 to 300 pounds to do our garden, which is roughly 10,000 square feet. But they just nail you with shipping. So the other thing I've been looking at is going to some of the local garden stores. But all I can find, the few places I can find it, It's in like these little 1-pound bags, almost at the same price as that 50-pound bag. So it gets very expensive, not a very scalable, renewable type thing, and it's just not worth the money. I could find some other better ways to do it, but one thing I've been exploring, I'm thinking there's gotta be something out there. I just haven't stumbled across it yet, a good source to get some of this stuff. Or maybe I need to spend some time looking at actually how alfalfa meal is made. If it's just basically alfalfa ground up, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. The other thing too, a few videos back I was talking about how we've been having such a hard time with finding wood chips, and we've been really striving to move towards a back to Eden method. We have that in the front of one of our gardens up here, and wood chips are so hard to come by. So the other day I thought, what the heck, I phoned up the neighbor who cuts a lot of hay around here. I said, can you bring over a round bale, your oldest, moldiest bale you got sitting around, because I want to try putting this stuff down. Because I've been really hesitant to use hay, because a lot of times hay is what you get paid sometimes by weight, depending on how it's dealt with. But a lot of times what farmers will do is they'll go in and they'll try to cut it when it's at seed, so it's got its most amount of weight. But then, of course, those seeds, then if you lay that hay down into your garden, they end up with a bunch of weeds. So, I don't know. These bales have been sitting around for 2 or 3 years. Dropped one off the other day. He said he's got more. And I'm just hoping we're not going to end up with a bunch of weeds. But either way, it seems like we're always battling with that anyway. So, why not give it a try? So yeah, I've probably been rambling a whole bunch here. We'll wrap this up. One last little side note here. We're creeping up here on 10,000 subscribers. Really want to say thank you to all you guys that have clicked that subscribe button and been following along. It really means a lot to me. Really appreciate it here. Yeah, so anyways, next video I think I'm going to take you guys along. I got to show you guys some tools. Just going to give you a little update on that. I got some tools from my grandfather, and some of these were his dad's, and some of them were even potentially my great-great-great-grandfather's tools that are sprinkled in there a little bit. Oh, my heart was jumping. We've been having a lot of black bears running around here. Several have been seen just right here close to our property. I just know one of these days I'm going to end up kicking up one of these at the wrong time again. Last year, I think. Yeah, anyways, I'm getting off topic. So I wanted to show you guys some of those tools. So I think it's kind of cool, a little bit of history to them. And there's definitely some that I don't know a lot about. I had one grandfather that was into carpentry stuff for a living. The other one did violins. I think a lot of the tools that I have are from the violin making ones. So there's a lot of them. I probably have no idea what they are, but I know there's a lot of files and some other stuff in there that I think is kind of cool. So anyways, thanks again to everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. You guys always digging holes, huh?
I could be the one to make you laugh.